Like by the time they see how things gonna be, like wait for a couple of weeks to see if things gonna calm down or if things gonna escalate.
And Governor Mike DeWine says there are challenges with the number of immigrants moving to Springfield. He says it includes housing and health care. Lindsay.
Perry, thank you. Both campaigns are sharpening their attacks on the issue of the economy. It comes as gas prices continue to fall in some places below $3 a gallon, and overall inflation is dropping below 3%. This week, all eyes are on the Fed and a likely change in interest rates. ABC's Alexis Christoforous has those details.
Tonight, with just over 50 days to Election Day, Vice President Harris and former President Trump zeroing in on the issue that matters most to voters, the economy.
And his plan would shrink the economy, reignite inflation, and send us into a recession by the middle of next year.
And when I'm back in that beautiful White House, we will pass larger tax cuts for workers, and we have a special tax that here is going to do, I think, quite well.
The two sharpening their attacks on the trail as all eyes now fix on the Federal Reserve, preparing to cut interest rates this week for the first time in over 4 years. A relief for consumers who have been struggling with high prices and soaring interest rates. The Fed hiked rates an unprecedented 11 times to combat high inflation, which peaked at 9% in June of 2022. Today, inflation is at a 3-year low, mostly thanks to a drop in gas prices, now below $3 a gallon in 17 states.
It definitely helps with the budget.
Inflation may be slowing, but in a recent ABC News Ipsos poll, many Americans say they don't feel it, with 42% saying they're worse off today than they were 4 years ago. Everyday basics still costing more, like eggs up 65%, auto insurance up nearly 50% since 2020. But don't expect a big impact from just one Fed rate cut. Experts agree it will take a series of rate cuts for consumers to finally feel some relief in their wallets. Lindsay?
Some much needed relief, Alexis. Thank you. Tonight, we're tracking a new tropical threat brewing off the southeastern coast just days after Hurricane Francine made landfall in Louisiana. This weekend, volunteers handed out food and supplies to residents there, many of whom were without power for days. Let's bring in ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore. Samara, time out this new threat for us.
Lindsay, the U.S. Air Force hurricane hunters entered this disturbance recently and anticipate this to become our next named storm, Helene. So we have tropical storm warnings that are expanded from South Carolina all the way to the Outer Banks. We anticipate the system to drive inland towards Myrtle Beach and Wilmington, North Carolina early tomorrow morning before pushing deeper to Charlotte and Raleigh by the afternoon. Tuesday, this then moves into parts of West Virginia and Western Virginia. Wednesday through Friday, this rain still sticking around, impacting the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We could see flash flooding with totals reaching as high as 8 inches of rain in parts of the Carolinas, along with 1 to 3 foot storm surge and the potential for tornadoes. Lindsay?
All right, Samara, thank you. Overseas now, tensions between Israel and Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis are escalating. Early today, the militia group fired a hypersonic missile, which an Israeli military official says was intercepted over central Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu is threatening to exact a heavy price. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Back here at home, for the first time, we're hearing 911 calls from the Georgia high school shooting that claimed the lives of 2 teachers and 2 students. The emergency call center was overrun with pleas for help from those at the scene and others in the community. ABC's Faith Abube is in Georgia.
Tonight, authorities releasing those harrowing 911 calls as they responded to an active shooter on a deadly rampage inside a Georgia high school.
Is there a still shooter?
We do have an active situation at Appalachia High School right now.
First responders overwhelmed with calls.
The police, please, the Appalachia High School, my daughter calling me crying. Somebody, for everybody, boom, 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 boom.
Some concerned loved ones trying to speak with authorities repeatedly placed on hold, hearing an automated message before speaking with dispatchers.
I can't give you any information, sir. I'm sorry.
No, she's texting me. She's texting me, telling me what's going on.
She is texting you?
Yes.
Investigators say 14-year-old suspect Colt Gray unleashed terror inside Appalachia High School just before 10:30 a.m.